comments.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from the PSC? I don't see any. Are there any questions from the public?
Hi, this is Jennifer from the Advocates Group. Thanks for this overview. I had a couple of questions. Number one, will this information be the information specifically about the migration timeline and post-implementation support be sent out to the stakeholder group?
Jenna, sorry, Jack, go ahead.
For the public items, we have posted those things on the availability for the public portals on the individual public portals, and then the CITs that this information is available to is also available to the public as well. So those are posted onto our public website, Jen.
So there won't be a specific message about the migration plan sent to the stakeholder group that specifically meets about these topics? Like, it seems like this is something we're sharing with the stakeholder group directly.
Yeah, this is a public meeting. We've shared it.
Okay. And then for the county support call, when will the links to join those be made available?
Those are calls for the counties, and we're meeting with the counties. For the public, it should be business as usual as we go through that, and using Ask CalSAWS and those things if there is any things that you see, but the public should be expecting that their cases are going to continue to be served as normal.
Oh, I thought I heard that there was an option to listen in observer mode.
That is for the 16 Calhoun counties that have yet to convert.
Okay, thank you.
All right, are there any other comments from the public?
Oops. I'm not public, but this is me reaching for. I'm sorry if I missed that cue earlier.
No worries. Go ahead.
John, is there a plan, a communication plan for that go live weekend, as far as during the weekend updates that will be provided to the counties?
Yeah, sort of milestones, those types of things, and I think. Yes. Keith could probably touch on that on his
okay, it might be coming up
as well.
Okay, but great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. If there are no other comments from PSC or public, we'll go ahead and move to the next update on conversion.
All right, thank you, Winna. Cindy, I'll go ahead and address that question first. Yeah, so we will have a communication schedule that's going, or communication that's going to, we call it an internal distribution, but I believe we do have some outbound communication as well. In that communication, we highlight all of the milestones that are either planned or complete. And so we don't have it represented in the presentation deck here today. However, suffice to say, what it will do is it'll inform everybody of what the schedule is and how we're meeting that schedule. We've executed this through each of our mock cutovers. We executed it during the Wave 1 A county prep go live. And as I mentioned, we'll continue to do so here. So if we need to make sure that we've got the right distribution list, or we need to work with our ISS team to make sure it's getting out to the counties, we can certainly do so. But yes, we will have that communication going out during the cutover weekend, just to make sure that everybody's aware of our schedule. And there are some dependencies. So, one is county click-through, and I know Mr. Paul Trisler would be supporting that, but he needs to make sure that he's communicating to the county so that they understand how we're tracking to the schedule, because the schedule is set right now as we've got it. However, sometimes we make up time and we're able to start earlier. So it's always a good thing in this situation. So we'll be communicating through the weekend. Hopefully that helps answer the question.
Yes,
okay.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Cindy. So we wanted to come back and talk about where we're at with conversion. This is a slide that we've presented a number of times. We're nearing the end here, respectively, for Wave 1. And so what this shows everybody is where we've been all time. And so the start here is at the beginning of converted data testing that our team had started at the beginning of November, and that finished in the end of May of this year. This slide also includes the execution of county data validation as well as UAT. And what it really represents is all of the defects, I'm just going to say defects, right? Because that's how it's known to us, all of the defects that we received and resolved throughout the life of these phases. And so let me try to set the stage here. So we identified priority 1, priority 2 defects. Priority 1, priority 2 defects are the utmost importance to us. Priority 1 and priority 2 defects really mean there is no workaround in the system, and it does have a high level of potential to impact eligibility, issuances, noticing. And so as we executed out of each of these phases, the exit criteria that was what was established is we would have no priority 1, no priority 2s at the point of go live. I'm happy to say right now, we will not have any priority 1 or priority 2 defects as we go live with the Wave 1 counties. That's depicted here as well as you see on the October date. Now, this also includes any other defects that we have. So priority 3, priority 4, and respectively priority 5. These are your low level defects. They are defects that do not impact eligibility. They do not impact issuances, and they do not impact noticing. However, it does represent an anomaly with our conversion that we can fix. We just didn't have time giving the priorities of the other efforts that we're supporting, as well as these other priority 1, priority 2 defects as we lead up to the go live. So for our Wave 1 counties, we will have approximately 77. I say approximately because that number continues to go down. We're still resolving these defects as we lead up to the go live. Right now, we're about 76. So we'll have about 76 priority 3, priority 4 defects. Once again, they don't impact eligibility, but they will remain open at the point of go live. For the waves 2 through 6 counties, we'll continue to work to resolve those and anything else that comes in. So we're perfecting this process and the conversion as we move along. We will be supporting these 76 post go live. So if something comes up and we're able to resolve it for the counties, the Wave 1 Placer and Yolo counties, we certainly will. And so we'll do that as questions come in via the command center or tickets come in respectively. And so we'll continue to support those. These 77 also are inputs into the go live packet. And so we had a dedicated team who looked at all of these priority 3, priority 4 defects and made a determination based on impact. Is it large enough that we need to inform the counties that you may need to be aware of this? And then if so, what to do? And so that is information that goes into the go live packet. I'm happy to note the vast majority of these are very low level impacts. However, we needed to do the due diligence to make sure that we were assessing each of these just in case there was a higher level impact. Once again, higher level impact meaning more work by the caseworker, and but it still doesn't impact eligibility. I want to make sure to put a fine point on that. These are your lower level defects. So this is where we are right now. As I noted, we're continuing to drive these down, these 77. As of today, it's 76. So we can go to the next slide. The next slide is just the same communication, just a different representation. You start to see how this looks. I'll go from the top left and we'll go down and around. This shows us the defects that we identified and where we have them prioritized, meaning when do we plan to deploy these? What you'll see there is in that red, there are no priority 1s, as I mentioned, but for priority 2s, we have all of them identified for Wave 1 go live. I think you'll see in the far right there that it looks like there is one that's in triage. We've resolved that this week and we pulled it into our Wave 1 go live. So we will have that included. So happy to note, no priority 1, no priority 2. And then you'll see the priority 3s and priority 4s. We're continuing to address those as we move forward. And so for your wave 2 through 6 counties, we will have what we have in front of us today, all those delivered by the end of this calendar year for the most part, and then some remaining open for our March delivery respectively. And the bottom there, bottom left there, you get to see where the distribution is as we executed through the CDT, CDB, and UAT, what the remaining defects look like. On that bottom right, that really represents the analysis of those 77. What we wanted to make sure, and we worked with our implementation support teams, is that we needed to understand, is the impact large enough that it needs to go into the go live packet? As I mentioned, the vast majority do not need to. However, as I mentioned, we need to go through that due diligence to make sure that we're informing where necessary. And then that top right there is really the representation of our burn down as we've executed. Well, here it's showing us from the March timeframe. The blue line represents what our plan was. The plan, we're looking to, if we had time, we could try to get everything complete. But with that dotted green line really shows us is where we end up with the 77. If we can move on to the next slide. So that was our open conversion related defects. What this represents here is, I think we've all recognized and we've heard the yellow banner cases and the importance of removing the yellow banner. A yellow banner case means it's a case, it's a program that would need to be reviewed by the caseworkers post go live because there was some anomaly with it. In these cases, we call it a mismatch. And so we've been tracking along, attempting to meet the goal of 70 to 75%. And we've been hit and miss. One time we hit it, and then we saw some things that we needed to resolve. And then just in the month of September, as we've been executing and getting an updated data set from our Cowan and Gainwell teams, we've been able to achieve that 72%. And we've now seen this consistently over the last month in September, as well as we're executing in the months of October. At this point, we'll call the goal achieved, as Catherine had noted a little bit earlier, and we'll use this information as we go into our cutover. We execute EDBC match, or the auto case review. We execute it during the cutover window, and that's the point at which the yellow banners would get removed. And so if we move to the next slide, it paints it in a slightly different perspective. The perspective here is, of the converted active programs, only 8% of those will need to be reviewed by a caseworker. And on the very bottom there, we break it down into 2 different categories. One is the SSI income COLA, which we know will be run in the month of December. And we want to be able to highlight those for the county so that they can prioritize and put their work effort associated with those. And then the last is the review by their redetermination dates, which we understand and have heard from the counties that this is how they will work those cases respectively. On the SSI income COLAs, we are able to create a burn down on these. I think there was a request last month of, can we identify the batches that are associated with these and when they would fire across all yellow banners. That's somewhat challenging for us to do because we can't really align or correlate a case or a program with a batch job. That's something that's done by the batch jobs as they're about to run the batch, and it needs to be run on the data itself, and we just don't have that level of detail in the reports. However, we're able to create a burn down respectively for the SSI or SS income, as well as the redetermination. I think our initial will be the COLA impacts. And I believe that's all we've got here. Yeah, sorry, the last slide here is a further breakdown of the yellow banner cases on how they mismatched on that final run that we did on 10-5. And so this will show that the vast majority of them fall into the benefit mismatch. This is very consistent with what we've seen on previous reviews. is this is really where the mismatches lie. So we've got a link in there to the actual case review report if anybody is interested, but it shows these details. It shows the entire report. And with that, I will pause, Winna, and see if there are questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from PSC? Seeing none, are there any questions from the public? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Winna.
Peggy?
Good morning, PSC.
Good morning.
So we are here to provide you another update for closing out our CalSAWS UAT execution. So on this first slide is just a reminder of what we reported last month for our UAT results. So we had a 97% pass rate for our UAT execution and a 2% fail rate. Our UAT Group 1 and Group 2 participants logged 359 findings. So on the next slide, we'll talk about the breakdown for those 359, and it resulted in 35 SCRs. So if we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so on this slide is where you will find the detail for the 359 findings that our UAT participants identified. So as a reminder, our UAT participants had limited training. They did some web-based training. This was also their first exposure to the application with their Cowin County lens. It not only exposed them to the hands-on application, it also provided an early insight and highlights to, the training materials, considerations, and enhancements. So as a result, we had a healthy number of system clarifications. So 359 were those items. Of those 359, 74 were identified as system defects. Those 71 of them were fixed and retested during the UAT. 3 of them were fixed and retested as part of the 2209 release, either baseline or priority. Of those 74 system defects, 38% or 28 of those were associated to GAGR, which we expected it to be a higher number since that is really new system functionality. 26% were identified under the reports, state and fiscal. The majority of those were environment related, alignment of batches, and batch dependencies, such as claiming jobs. And then the remaining 37% of those defects were associated to the other 12 categories of testing that the testers did. So again, the 359, 285 of them were identified as working as designed. And what that means is these are the ones that, as I said, the UAT participants had limited exposure prior to UAT. So they logged everything, questions that they had, things they didn't understand or they expected to see differently. Those were all logged. So as we triaged those 359 and separated out the actual defects, 285 remaining were items that really needed just to be clarified. So we worked with the UAT participants in providing that clarification. They understood. They, agreed or approved the item that they had, the finding that they had reported, and we closed those. So so those 285, they have been completely vetted through the different teams. We have identified 166 of those that we sent to the ISS team for training and or communication opportunities with the counties. They either resulted in an enhanced training emphasis in instructor-led training, or they were included in a WBT, a quick guide, or a job aid, or they were provided in the Go Live packet and migration FAQs for further clarification. So 61 had required no additional action. So that meant they were either duplicates or they were just clarifications that we clarified the system functionality with the users and required no other action. In addition to the fixes, I mean, not the fixes, the defects, there were 46 items associated to 35 SCRs. So they identified them as, as a defect, but in our triage, we found that they were associated, 46 of those 71 were associated to 35 SCRs. Some that were already identified in production, and some new ones that the UAT users identified. In addition, there were in our reports, UAT, they identified 12 system enhancements that they wanted to push to establish and send through the process of being vetted through the committee. So those 12 are currently being worked by the committee to prioritize and do the fixes. Next slide, please. On this last slide, this just is a slide that represents during UAT, our CalWIN reports users let us know that they quite frequently go to the reports website where the state may update the templates, and they pull those down and they use those in preparing their reports that they submit. In CalSAWS, there's one report template for each report. These state reports are currently being generated and actively used by the 40 CalSAWS counties, and changes to the report templates impact all the CalSAWS counties, and reports are only updated with ACLs, well, state correspondence is received, ACLs, ACWDLs, etc. And then those are, or if there is an enhancement request made by a county, and it goes through the committee process and prioritized, and that's when updates to the templates are made. As stated, there's 12 system enhancement requests that were identified by the UAT participants that are currently in the queue, and they are currently being worked through the committee for prioritization, and that should be happening this month. Also, the project works closely with CDSS, and they have access to the reports dashboard. So they, they are very aware of the reports that we are using and the templates. For post-implementation support, reports is the area where we knew there was going to be a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and we have, the project has prepared for providing post-implementation support. So during UAT, they didn't really get the full effect of seeing their data, waves 2 through 6, their data on reports. So during, and even with the wave 1 counties, there was no historical data. So they didn't get to see all the things that they hoped to be able to see. But during, after go live and for post-implementation support, our ISS team is very aware of our findings and the action items, and they will be, available to help the counties as they work through the reports. The support for the counties to be able to reconcile their daily and monthly fiscal reports and submit their state reports on time will also garner much support from the project. And there will be enhanced communications that are and will continue to be disseminated. So there's currently a communication that goes out with the other 40 counties to give a status on where updates are being made to reports, and there will be a section added for the specific UAT items identified so that the counties can follow through with how the progress is being made. So that kind of wraps up our UAT report. I'm hoping that this breakdown in this format provides answers to some of the questions that you all had last month. So I'm going to turn it back over to Winna for any questions or follow-up.
Thank you. I see Elaine's hand raised from the PSC.
Hi, everyone. Peggy, thank you so much for this update. I really appreciate the transparency of this flow chart. This will help us, in communicating with our staff who are really interested in knowing, the outcomes of their work in participating in the UAT. Very nicely done. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Are there any other comments or questions from the PSC?
Hi, this is Cindy, Region 4, and I wanted to say the same thing. Thank you, Peggy. It was very clear and very easy to follow, and really appreciated all the clear information about all the findings, and appreciate all the counties on their UAT efforts. I understand what you're saying as far as, they don't know much, so everything is kind of a question and new. And so it was laid out very clear and understandable, and really appreciate the follow-up on it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll take this opportunity to personally thank Rachel Hernandez and Saranjan Kumar, who did a lot of work in helping put this information together.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from PSC? All right, now we'll open it up to the public. Any comment or questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, and that's the update on waves 2 through 6 risk. Arnold, is that going to be you?
Sorry, having a hard time getting off of mute here.
No worries,
so
thank you.
We'll go ahead and cover our waves 2 through 6. We'll cover this with both Dan as well as Rachel. So first off, if we take a look at the format here, the 258.2 refers to our wave 2. The 258.3 is wave 3. And so overall, if we look at the Calvin conversion window of being at risk of completing past the 84-hour cutover window, this has been a risk that is trending towards yellow, because we have been working through an alternative mode of doing data trim to that data, and also creating 2 separate events so that the active cases and cases that are closed within 2 years are converted on the original cutover weekend, and then those closed cases older than 2 years come over on that subsequent event. And as a result, the analysis shows that will bring us within that 84-hour cutover window. We're looking to do the same approach towards waves 3 through 6 as well. Dan, do you want to jump in and contribute to the QA perspective on this?
Yeah, QA is involved in this.
You're on mute, Dan.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Still on mute.
No, we
Nope,
can
I
hear
can
you.
hear you.
I think that might be an Arnold thing on that.
Okay, I'll talk away. Apparently they can hear me, Arnold.
You're still on mute, Dan.
I'm going to just start talking because you guys can tell me you can hear me. So QA is involved in this effort. There is a
is everybody able to hear me? Okay, because I'm still unable to hear Dan.
Stand by. I'm going to chat so Arnold can see.
Yes, Arnold, we were able to hear you as well.
Okay, thank you, Holly.
It's you, Arnold.
It's me.
Yeah.
Okay, so so QA is involved in the remediation of this risk. For wave 1, it has been retired. For wave 2, we have about 7 times the volume. So we're continuing to apply the measures that were done for wave 1 to wave 2. The business impact efforts are listed here. There's also some technical activities going on. And the analogy I would give, I'll reuse what Arnold stated earlier related to having a single train or 3 locomotives. Are there pieces of the conversion process we can attach to a different locomotive? We call that parallel processing. So we'll be looking at those future activities for wave 2 and wave 3, as noted here by this chart. Back to you, Arnold.
All right, thanks, Dan. If we move on to the next slide. So on the next slide is we're talking about waves 4, 5, and 6. So the same process is going to be applied to those subsequent waves as well. If we move on to the next slide.
Arnold, I was going to jump in right here at the end, if you don't mind. Just go back.
Go ahead.
So when we planned this agenda a week and a half ago, Rachel and I each had an additional risk. Those risks have turned to yellow for wave 2 and wave 3. So just to provide context to the group, the one from the QA perspective is 2 at 68, which is overall implementation readiness. That covers everything from performance for imaging and batch to organizational readiness and communication to application items like the CDT defects that Keith covered, as well as some pending GAGR logic, which is going to be deployed on October 26th. So again, we're ready for wave 1 there. And that's why that one has fallen off the list. Related to wave 2, the last item that had to flip was 270, and that is Rachel's risk related to organizational change readiness and change discussion guides. We're taking some lessons learned from wave 1 and applying those to 2 and 3. So just to provide the context there. Thanks.
Yeah, and PSC members will add those back in, those amber risks for next month. We just wanted to know we were going to take a lot of time on wave 1, but we wanted to tell you where we're at on our high or red risks that we are making positive progress on that 84-hour window. And we'll bring them back in for our November PSC meeting.
Okay, so with that, we can send it back to Winna.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the PSC? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the public? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to our Benefits Cal user forum. Rachel?
Thanks, Winna. I'll say a couple of, maybe a little over a month ago, we've been having some requests coming in from our community-based organizations and counties about a potential opportunity to have an ongoing forum where users could get refreshed information about functionality in Benefits Cal, maybe as like a little refresher type of training, or instances where we have new features or functionality, or when we're onboarding new individuals as well, because the counties are always having people that are coming in, community-based organizations are onboarding new staff. And so we took that back and wanted to share with the PSC a user forum that we are going to be providing moving forward. The user forum is aimed specifically at community-based organization users of Benefits Cal and county workers. so that they can ask any type of questions that they might have about Benefits Cal functionality and anything that might help them to expand adoption or be able to support the customers that they serve in the event that they're getting questions from customers. So we are going to be in alignment with the waves that are coming up for the CalWIN waves, holding user forums roughly every 2 months starting in January. And then we will do it on an ongoing basis after the CalWIN waves roll out every other month. So starting in January, then March, May, July, and September, which roughly translates into a month before the wave is going live, that we're going to be hosting these user forums, and they will be for the waves that are going live. It will also be for existing users, as well as new users that are in production counties today, or the community-based organizations that are already onboarded to Benefits Cal. So the intent of it, again, is to provide a forum where people can bring questions. They can ask questions about training materials that we have, if there are new features that we want to highlight, any new campaigns that are getting introduced or outreach. We will be including those as part of the ongoing engagement model. And as we move through each of these forums, the material is likely going to change a bit as we are adding new functionality. And so as that comes up, that will get incorporated into the user forums on an ongoing basis. So just a place beyond the training that's available using the YouTube videos, but wanted to provide a bit more of that hands-on with the designers and the implementers of Benefits Cal, working with users, an opportunity for them to get a little bit of a refresher or some new visibility. Now with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from PSC? I see Elaine, Region 5.
Oh, hello, thank you. I was just wondering, Rachel, in regards to these forums, how will folks know how to access that for CBOs?
We are going to be working with, Elaine, today we work with our community-based organization co-leads, and we have a stakeholder engagement meeting that occurs on a monthly basis, and we usually will send it out through those two channels. In addition to that, we will be sending a communication out to the counties so that the counties are aware of these as well, so that the counties can advertise also. So we'll be using 3 different channels to make sure that the community-based organizations are aware.
Okay, great. That answers my question. Thank you, Rachel.
Sure.
Are there any other, oh, I see Rachel.
Yeah, I had a question for Rachel.
Okay.
Or an observation. Previously, our outreach staff was able to use a demo for the application process when they were training our community-based organizations on assisting customers in completing their applications. But I believe that demo was removed, or the access was limited to the UAT process, and was wondering if there could potentially be in the future the opportunity to have another demo app available so that CBOs could practice. I know that one of the concerns was the demo didn't indicate really clearly that it was a demo, so potentially CBOs could have thought they were actually submitting an application for a customer. But they did find that very helpful in helping to train our CBOs.
Yeah, Rachel, let me take that one back. You're right, it was tied to UAT when the CBOs did have access to that particular environment. And we do have instances where on an ongoing basis with new releases that the community-based organizations also come in and they perform some level of testing as well. But I hear what the request is. Let me take that one back. I do want to emphasize that there is still the YouTube videos that are available for community-based organizations to access about submitting applications and accessing their dashboard. But let me take that one back and we'll report back at PSC next month.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
you. Are there any other questions or comments from PSC?
I do, Witness. Sorry, I was trying to figure out where to get my little hand raised up there. But this is Cindy, Region 4. And I agree. I think this is really great and our CBOs. So my question was going to be, how can we include the CBOs? And will it be ongoing CBOs as well, not just the Calwin CBOs that are coming on board? Okay.
It will be, Cindy, much like what we did with Wave 1. We had the training for Wave 1. We invited the community-based organizations for Wave 1. We also invited all of the existing 40 production counties. And we also found out that the 16 Calwin counties were a little bit interested as well, too. So we're going to open it up to all 58 could participate in any of these sessions that are coming up.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's really helpful. We do provide training for our CBOs, but they do have quite a bit of turnover. And so they have new people coming on board. Yep. And I just had another request for some training for them. And so I think this ongoing forum will be really helpful.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any more questions from PSC? Seeing none, are there any questions from the public?
Hi, this is Jennifer from the Advocates Group. First, I want to say, Rachel, thank you for presenting this. I'm really excited about this space being made available. I think it will really help with the uptake of Benefits Cal in the CBO community as they're able to get their questions answered and better understand how to use the system. It will help inspire them to migrate over to using it more. I'm curious if these forums will be provided in addition to like the trainings on how to use the website, or if this is going to be the only space.
They are for the next 5 sessions, Jen. They are intended to be at the same time. So it is intended to be training and forums both, so that we can allow people to ask questions, but also get that training, especially for people like Cindy had mentioned that may be coming on board within the community-based organization. So for the next 5, these are intended to be a joint effort. And thereafter, excuse me, hold on. Lost my voice there. And thereafter, it would not be tied to a formal training. So these are going to be standard engagements that we're going to be doing that will be refresher-based training on an ongoing basis, unrelated to a release.
Okay. So it'll be like a training plus time to ask questions about Correct. Any other topics. Correct. And then after these 5, they will continue, but just be like open forums?
They will be open forums, again, focused on training. So this okay. is... It is not intended to replace our existing stakeholder engagement meetings. This is intended to really be about, how do I use the existing Benefits Cal solution? What are the questions that I have about it? I'm having difficulty navigating something, can you help walk me through? So that's what this is intended to really be.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And I also just wanted to echo that the demo site has been very helpful in the past. I appreciate the banner that's been put up that explains that it is a demo site, so that when people are in there, it's really clear that it's not the live website. And just want to reiterate that we would really like to see that be made available again, just as Rachel had shared, that it's helpful for trainings for CBOs. The YouTube videos are great, but it's not the same as being able to click through and really see the nuances of the website when you have a variety of clients coming in with different situations. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. If there are no other comments from the public, we'll go ahead and move on to our next agenda item. Brian?
Hi, this is Apurva. I will be covering for IVNB updates.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So what you see on the screen is our slide for the Wave 1 readiness. And we have been tracking 6 work streams for the past several months for Kelvin Wave 1 readiness. Starting with application, we tracked readiness for CalSOS, Benefits Cal, Central Print, and Highland Imaging System. All 4 systems are ready, and we are just currently monitoring the document and image migration from Kelvin to CalSource, and this activity is on track. Under conversion, we are tracking the conversion prep activities for the cutover weekend. The table read, which currently happened very recently this week for the cutover prep activities, went really well. We are also tracking the progress on OpenCDT defects, and the risk is associated with that. And from the update today, as well as attending various meetings, we do not have any concerns regarding this activity as well. Under test, we tracked interface partner testing, batch performance testing, and image performance testing, and all efforts have been completed successfully for wave 1. Can we move to the next slide, please? Under organizational, we tracked UAT, county data validation, and process simulation, and all efforts has been successfully completed with high pass rates. Under training, we are currently monitoring the web-based training as well as the instructor-led training for both Placer and Yolo County. And trainings are really going well and are on track for completion before go live. Under implementation, our team is tracking, we tracked various efforts in the past, such as BPR flows, change discussion guide sessions, as well as the distribution of implementation readiness packet and go live packet. And all of these efforts have also been completed. The only 2 remaining activities which we are tracking right now are the county prep phase activities, which are going well. And lastly, the second distribution of the go live packet, which is on track for distribution. In a nutshell, now we are just days away from this major milestone of wave 1 go live, and IVNB doesn't have any concerns in any of these work streams. These are just few activities which I pointed out, and all of these are ongoing and are on track. That's it from IVNB. Any questions for me?
Thank you. Cindy, I see your hand raised.
I figured it out. Thank you. Thank you. Cindy Utes from Region 4. And this, I appreciate that. It looks really good with all those readiness activities. My question sort of goes back a slide or 2, I think, because I wasn't quick enough to hit the button then. But when we were going over the readiness and the risks, and John mentioned we don't have everything included here just for time's sake. Will there be another document that could be sent over to show the whole picture? Will that be included in the implementation readiness meetings and calls, or just so we can see the big picture?
We'll be happy to send out a copy of the risk register if you would like us to, so you have that. For wave 1, as we're looking at that, we're looking at the ones that are pertinent to wave 1. As you can see from all of the go live readiness things that Catherine went over, we've pretty much mitigated all of those items for wave 1. And we know wave 1 is those two counties are smaller and have a much smaller footprint. Yeah. So we looked at that 84-hour window, but we'd be happy, Cindy, to take an action item and by the end of the week, send out an updated risk register so people have access to that. It's actually, we have that and we can pull that together very quickly.
Great, that'd be great. I just want to see all the greens and thumbs up on it. So. And
some of them have actually even been retired. Some of them we say, you know what, this has a potential of, it's a low level risk and may bubble up, so we keep it open. And some of them say we've mitigated the risk and we've closed those out. So we'll show that as well.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Any additional comments from PSC? Seeing none, are there any comments or questions from the public? All right, I'm seeing none. We'll go ahead and move into our state partner updates. We'll start with OSI, next CDSS, and then conclude with DHCS.
Good morning. This is Steve Zaretsky from OSI. Just a very brief update. On October 18th, we received formal approval from CMS for the Emphasis QA Agreement Amendment number 2 and the Gainwell Agreement Amendment number 2. We also confirmed with FNS that they do not require approval for those, so those amendments are ready to be executed. So that's good news. Other than that, OSI along with the IB&V team will continue to monitor Wave 1 migration activities as Placer and Yellow get ready to cut over to CalSauce. That's all.
All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and go to CDSS.
Hi, good morning. This is Brittany Blake over at CDSS. Just a couple of updates, some staffing updates from our program area size of the department. They did fulfill the appoint a branch chief for the CalFresh branch, which is Andrea Brayboy, and they are still recruiting for the CalWorks branch chief. So once we know who that person will be, we will provide that update. And then also we have an EBT update for PEBT. Card mailings have started and they're on track to end at the month, on track for the end of the month delivery timeframe. And then we're also continuing work with our SAWS partners on all of the policy items that are happening now and throughout migration. So appreciate all the work that you guys are doing with us in partnership. Thank you.
All right, thank you. DHCS.
Good morning, this is Katie Mead from DHCS. Last week, the Secretary of Health and Human Services extended the public health emergency. So DHCS is assuming that this will be for another 90 days and is continuing to work with your counties, SAWS, as well as CWDA to outline the unwinding steps once the PHE is ended. As mentioned in the past, CMS will be giving states a 60-day notice prior to the end of the PHE. As of today, DHCS has not received that notice and will provide further updates as we learn them. DHCS has also initiated a county and SAWS work group on the updated 90-day cure period policy, which will be described in an upcoming ACWDL, which will also have SAWS programming impacts. That's looking in the future, but we are starting those conversations with our counties and SAWS partners to make that a smooth transition as possible. Those are the updates for DHCS. Back to you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from PSC for any of our state partners? All right, seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the public for our state partners? All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and we will move on to regional updates, and we'll start with Region 1.
Hi, good morning. This is Anna Pineda from San Francisco. So I have a few county updates coming from Region 1. So I'll start with my own county, San Francisco. So first, we want to thank Riverside County's Moreno Valley office for hosting us to come into their office last September 29. We did a site visit to look at their CalSauce system and how they're using that actually in their lobby traffic. So Riverside also shared their current and future business processes and tools for managing appointments, duty assignments, workload distribution. So we're compiling information that we gathered and hoping that this would help us design a more informed to-be process in our decision making. So we're also, in the middle of our ad hoc data discovery session and currently compiling an inventory of county reports and dashboards. We are well into our contact center discovery sessions and reviewing existing call flow design and future state requirements. We're also ramping up activities around organizational change management, beginning with the Change Network champions and gathering information to prepare for the change readiness surveys. So that's for San Francisco. And then San Mateo County. San Mateo starting the document migration discovery sessions with Highland. They're also working on the change discussion guides, working sessions beginning October 20, which is today. Their reporting teams are in the process of identifying the total number of ad hoc reports that needs refactoring. They've also completed their central print configuration. San Mateo's County's interface partner, their testing kickoff with CalSauce project IPT team, and internal discussions on their project risks and impact to their CAPI, inability to run EDBC for prior months, and the cutover. So basically they're doing some risk assessment internally. And then last but not the least is Solano County's updates. They're also working on their change discussion guide sessions. Their contact center design sessions are also in progress. They're purchasing their kiosk and working with CalSauce and developing the county purchase agreement. Oh, and this is interesting. They're also doing county theme and theme songs selected by their CNC group, which is Cruise into CalSauce and Life is a Highway. They're also working on their Wave 4 T9 survey that's in progress. And then they're closing out their BPR sessions. And then their ad hoc reporting is in progress. And that is it for Region 1, Winna. So I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Region 2.
Yes, hi, good morning. This is Eduardo with for Region 2. Just a few updates. Mono County is getting back to in-person office activities for meetings with staff. Foster and Yolo counties are getting ready for go live and completing their final county prep phase activities, training, model office, and practice labs. Sacramento County is finalizing their BPRs and working on closing out their flows. And Sierra County has a new interim director, Lori McGee, as the previous director had left on October 7th. And that is all for Region 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Region 3.
Hey, this is Rachel for Region 3. For Butte County, reports that they're currently hiring for their employment and eligibility program specialists who do training and serve as help desk, and also report that they're down about 50% in that particular position. They have seen a huge increase in CalFresh applications at the beginning of the CSU, Chico, and Butte College school years. For Del Norte, as part of their retention efforts, they're looking at ways to build morale within the department, and they have morale booster ambassadors in each of their branches and are exploring new ways to build morale. They also report that their customers were hit very hard this month with skimming of their benefits from EBT, and not a large county, but they actually reported approximately 68 households who have had this experience in Del Norte. For Glenn County, they report that they are seeing an increased number of applications from persons who have not previously received public assistance before, likely due to inflation that is now affecting low to moderate income populations considerably more. And they're working a lot with their CalAIM programmatic changes, reimaging the workforce to move into the future. Humboldt County just had their CalFresh management evaluation and it went okay. The only major non-processing error that they reported was the lack of budget on the CalFresh renewal notice of action. But this actually will be resolved with the 2301 release coming up in January. Lake County reports that they're opting into two-way messaging beginning November of this year, and they are also reporting being severely understaffed in their employment services division. They have a 75% vacancy rate in their employment and training workers. Lassen County has an increase in their number of applicants for integrated caseworker positions, the opposite of Lake County, and they're looking forward to increasing the number of new hires in the near future. Mendocino County, we are recruiting for a program manager over our Medi-Cal program, hoping to have somebody in place definitely before the PHE unwinding starts. Modoc County remains severely understaffed in all areas of the department and is continuing to focus on recruitment and retention of employees. Siskiyou County reports that they're actually working with a local temp agency to see if they can get employees hired through the temp agency while they're going through the formal county hiring process. And then they are also adjusting and learning how to manage banked caseloads and task-based approach as they have moved away from individual caseloads. Tehama County started a new class, a new eligibility class on the 26th of September. They also are looking for new ideas on recruitment and retention. And Trinity County is revisiting their expectations on same-day processing. They started a pilot on the 26th of last month, and their intent is to capture as many waived interviews as possible and restoration of aids for CalFresh. They're also pursuing some housing grants and linkages in order to expand their ability to outreach into the community. And those are the updates for Region 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Region 4.
Hi, this is Vienna from Region 4. So starting with Fresno County. Fresno's BPR sessions were held the week of September 19th through the 23rd. The demonstrations in the system by Deloitte was really beneficial in facilitating the discussion amongst their staff, and they're really looking forward to moving on to the OCM phase of the project. For ancillary system decision, their CalSAW steering leadership presented to the executive leadership on their ancillary recommendation that they would like to utilize CalSAW's core to replace all of their current ancillaries, and that decision was approved. Catherine Martindale was selected as the new administrative branch deputy director this past July, as former Deputy Director Linda Espinoza retired. In their staff development department, Carmen Sanchez Saucedo is the new program manager for Fresno Staff Development Division. That she began September 22nd. She's filling behind Juan Bustamante, who left the department. And Carmen comes from a background of staff development and employment services, and they're really looking forward to her assisting with CalSAW's training. In Kern County, they're continuing their efforts to implement phase 1 of their business process redesign. They're working towards restructuring their intake process and continuing to a new shared work model by having the workers pull the get next task in CalSAWs. New hires, Kern has 30, and training classes are being conducted from August 22nd and ending October 28th. And also have a class September 12th running through November 18th. Their new program director assigned to their intake division started in September of 2022. They also, Kern has a department they've concluded their management evaluation for their employment and training program at the end of September. And their partner, the Employers Training Resources, ETR, had 0 sightings on the review of the administration of their CalFresh ENT program. They're still managing an increase in both their CalFresh and CalWorks electronic theft replacement benefits. Also, in Kern, staff are completing mandatory CalFresh management evaluation training in September. The training was developed from their CalFresh ME sightings to assist with providing staff with the correct case management that should have been taken on cases reviewed by the state. Kern was awarded an FNS grant to purchase RV and utilize as an eligibility mobile office. They received and improved their final design for the construction of the RV, and they also received their CalSAWS laptops that will be utilized in the mobile office. For Mariposa County, they have filled 4 of their 5 eligibility vacancies, 1 accountant, and they're recruiting for a senior office assistant. All are new CalSAWS users. They've had a change in leadership. Their division director, Julian Sims, has moved on to division director of administration, and their previous division director has returned, Bajet Hundal. I hope I'm saying that right. This was effective September 2022. Mariposa hosted our Region 4 regional meeting back on September 27th. And I thought it was very nice that they noted, more importantly, it is raining. It rained up in Mariposa. San Joaquin County has finished establishing their Medi-Cal bank caseloads after transferring over 100,000 cases in CalSAWS and physically moving staff. They have 7 of their 8 planned bank units up and running, and they're quite busy with ad program, person requests, address changes, case alerts, and doing cleanup work. They continue to struggle with staffing levels, but hope to have a class of 24 graduating in early November. They're also starting a new class of 24 in October. And as of right now, in San Joaquin, they have 75 eligibility worker vacancies, but their staff have been working OT to help with the new applications and any other urgent eligibility processes. In San Luis Obispo, several staff are participating in user acceptance and attended the training previews. The team is working to address some business process re-engineering pending items and are striving to close out this effort in October in partnership with the implementation support team. Meetings begun in partnership with the project to develop their IVR contact center model. And the draft mapping of images is in the final review before upload. Their participant service induction class of 8 concluded in late August and will be starting at their respective offices. A new induction class of 22 will be started on September 19th. Also in San Luis, a new building in Atascadero was built for Department of Social Services, has opened and will be occupied by staff in phases with full occupancy by October. The Department of Social Services will be adding a homeless services division to bring all the various county homeless services staff under one department. In Stanislaus County, 46 new staff have been hired and begun eligibility training on September 12th. Their department lobbies are temporarily closed every Wednesday for the next 6 months. This actually began in August 24th and will run through February 22nd, 2023. The call center hours have also been reduced from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. every Wednesday during the same 6-month period. This is due to the COVID pandemic, staffing challenges, and an increase in their CalFresh application and customers impacting their ability to meet their federal and state mandates to process program applications and maintain their normal business hours. And for Tulare, we were in the midst of recruiting a new agency director. We just recently announced they hired a new agency director. Her name is Donna Ortiz, and her begin date will be this next Monday. As of September 19th, we are no longer closing our offices for COVID exposures. We conducted our CalFresh management evaluation the week of September 19th through the 23rd. Our change discussion prep sessions started on September 29th and they ran through October 6th. This involved our managers, supervisors, and leads in having discussions with their units after attending the prep sessions. For training, we started our web-based training for early training and train the trainer on September 26th. Our web-based training for end users will begin October 17th. For communication for CalSAWS, we're prepping our staff, and we did an outreach event to educate our staff more so about the system. We called it our CalSAWS Scoop Tour. It was a joint effort between our communication staff and training committees. And last, our preparations are underway for county data validation, configuration kickoff, and process simulation. And that is it for Region 4.
Thank you. Region 5.
I'll go ahead and go. This is Elaine Martinez from Ventura County. So I have Ventura's update. We're about 6 months away from implementation go live. Really appreciate the support from the project thus far, working closely with us in several areas. Our county has completed our interface partner testing, and we're ready for further testing that's planned for early next year. Our imaging migrations have also been kicked off, and we're continuing to work in that area with adjustments being made as needed. The change discussion guide sessions have been underway, and we're now in our review phase. Our forms and reports efforts are continuing with the goal to complete this month. Our team has been working closely with the project in the training area, and we're prepared with the approach to meet our goals. And our Change Network champions are active in their roles, using the system and content to engage with our larger team. That's it for Ventura. I'll defer to the other members for updates for their counties.
Are there any other updates from Region 5?
I think a couple of the other members had to drop off earlier in the meeting. Buena.
Okay, thank you, John. We'll go ahead and go to Region 6. Corey, we'll start with you. Do you have any updates?
Thanks, Wena. Yeah, just briefly, we've been able to unfreeze our hiring process. So we are in the process of ramping up and hiring an additional 12 to 15 EWs, and we'll have a subsequent training academy for them. At the management level, we did lose one of our senior managers, Samvel Stepanyan, who's retiring. And so I think he may have come to a few of these meetings on Revenue Enhancement's behalf. So we are in the process of filling behind not only Samvel, but also the permanent division chief. So there will be some new leadership in there in Revenue Enhancement in the near future. And finally, FFPSA, so the Family First Prevention Services Act, it's a kind of a large scale initiative at the state level for child welfare. One of the things we're looking at is the eligibility determination up front in child welfare to assess any available resources, even outside of DCFS, to assist families with the necessary access to resources that go beyond what we can provide, so kind of from a multi-systemic perspective. So there'll be more to come on that. And that's it. Thanks, Wena.
Okay, thank you. For DPSS, similar to some of the other counties, we are currently continuing our recruiting efforts for eligibility staff. We're also currently recruiting for staff development specialists for our social workers. We are looking and working towards mitigating the ongoing skimming of EBT cards and the EBT theft. We're working with our state partners to address those issues as well. And I think that is it for us on the DPSS side, unless LaShonda has anything, but I think that addresses everything.
I think that's it for DPSS.
Okay, thank you. So are there any questions based on the regional updates that were shared? Any comments from the public on any of the regional updates that were shared? Okay, John, seeing none, we have made it successfully through the agenda. And do you have any updates that you have, John, before we adjourn?
Nope, you made it through the agenda with a little bit of time to spare. Nice job.
A little bit of time to spare. So that concludes our meeting. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Everyone, continue to stay safe, and we will see you all at our next PSC meeting. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.